Hey, good morning. This is May Valensky with Driving Markets. Driving while talking about markets. So, quick caveat. Anything said in this piece is for media publication only, not investment advice, not financial advice. It's purely an opinion. So let's kick off. I have to talk about inflation because I've got a senior colleague who keeps telling me, mention the fact that inflation is a lagging indicator, not a leading indicator. What's the difference between a lagging indicator and a leading indicator? We'll tell you now. Inflation is based on historical numbers, so you're getting numbers from the last month, and therefore it's, even though it's going to be a fresh announcement to the market as to where inflation is at, it's not a live indicator on a daily or minute by minute basis, and therefore the historical effect or historical impact of inflation on the markets is generally temporary. So when you see the markets bounce up even though you've had negative inflation, it's because the markets are looking at present statistics, present numbers, and seeing what's likely to happen going forward. Remember, stock markets are reading 6 months to 8 months ahead. Now that's one of the reasons why the markets have not fallen to the levels that I believe and I'm convinced they're going to go to, because what I'm saying and what the analysts are saying are two different opinions. From the beginning of the year, I've been stating that the inflation is going to go through the roof and the market's going to go down. So great. So let's say I was right for the first 8 months, 9 months of the year. However, what you've got now is a situation where I could be wrong, but I don't believe I'm wrong. I'm going to stick to my guns, even though inflation is an historical event. Okay, so what you've got are numbers being reported that effectively are could be cost of goods, cost of groceries, cost of housing, cost of petrol. All of that is what's happened in the previous month. And if it's happened in the previous month, the stock market is saying, okay, that's fine, that's happened, we know it's bad, but we know or we believe it's going to get better, and therefore the market jumps. So it's a laggard, it's a lagging indicator. A leading indicator would be something like a 10-year US Treasury bonds. Now they at the moment are being absolutely hammered, and therefore the price is going down and the yield is going up. So the yield on the US Treasury and the yield on the 2-year Treasuries are lead indicators because they're live at this moment. And that's what I look at when I look at assessment of inflation going forward. Why would bonds, which is the backbone of the whole financial markets, bonds is what is used by, at the lower level, companies, AAA companies, countries issue bonds, because a bond effectively is a commitment, it's a loan to commit a certain amount of interest, pay interest annually or 6 monthly or 3 monthly according to the coupon or whatever whatever the bond is going to pay, and that is a loan. And all companies and countries depend on loans to finance their operation. So that's a lead indicator. Now, at the moment, if you're looking at the 10-year Treasury in the US, which is the biggest bond sold globally, that yield jumped yesterday by 10 points. It's now at 4.23%. In other words, you can get 4.23% on your money by holding a US 10-year Treasury. That's a lot of money to get a return on your money, and that's going to effectively cause the cost of things like mortgages and loans to go up significantly, because it's a benchmark that's used by companies and by institutions for the charging rate of what they're going to be charging their customers in relation to the 10-year bond. So the 10-year bond is at a 15-year high. And yesterday, the head of the Federal Reserve of Philadelphia Reserve Bank, Patrick Harker, said that they're making little progress in fighting inflation. Now, look where interest rates are at the moment in the US. So you've got one member of the FOMC, of the central bank in the States. Well, you've got lots of members who are stating this, but there's another update from another member saying that interest rates need to go higher in order for the central bank to reach its target of inflation at 2%. Well, they're not going to reach inflation 2%. Inflation is here to stay, and inflation is going to get higher every time inflation disappoints. It's disappointing in the US because the cost of living is rising and going much higher. It's not going to drop. And again, I'm putting my name and reputation on the line that inflation in the US is going to be running at official double-digit figures. It's already unofficially well into double-digit figures, but it's going to run into double-digit figures. I don't accept and can't believe that inflation next year is going to be down at 4%. I just can't see that. I just can't see it on the horizon. I think there's going to be certain macroeconomic and geopolitical issues that's going to push inflation even higher. Going on to some of what the markets did yesterday, the markets didn't like the fact that Patrick Harker came out with the very hawkish comments regarding interest rates, and again fell for the second day running in the US, and that pushed down the rest of the markets. I can't have a session here without talking about Liz Truss. Liz Truss, 45 days as Prime Minister of the UK, did a disastrous job, managed to Liz Truss trashed the pound. She managed to bury the Queen as well. There's a joke going around. She buried the Queen, she buried the pound, she buried the country, etc. And what you've got now is the pound is unnecessarily under pressure due to a very, very poor mini budget. Jeremy Hunt, the new Chancellor, has got a lot of work to do. And there's only two things that need to be done. It's very, very simple. Raise rates dramatically. Sorry, three things. Raise rates dramatically. Cut public expenditure. Now, he can't raise rates. The Bank of England can raise rates. So I know I'm going to get comments. Let's just see what he can do. He has to cut public expenditure immediately and raise taxes. Not going to be popular. It's not going to cause a lot of pain, but that's what needs to be done. As far as Andrew Bailey is concerned, the Bank of England, he needs to raise interest rates immediately, but they won't do it. Yesterday they're talking about actually, we're not going to raise rates aggressively as we thought, and that sent the pound down. And they need to go on a bond buying exercise. So yes, they're going to have to print some money to buy back the bonds to give confidence to international markets that the UK is a good place to invest in. It's going to have to be done to get the status of the UK back up there. As regards other factors happened yesterday, you've got Tesla missed its earnings massively. Again, they're blaming, Elon Musk blamed macroeconomic factors that couldn't get the delivery of the cars out there. Tesla is a sell, and Tesla is it's just going to fall well below the $200. It's overpriced, going to fall well below the $200 level. Okay, you've got other companies like Netflix that beat expectations, beat its earnings, that shot up. Again, its streaming services, it said we're going to get on 1 million users. They got on like 2.5 million users or 4 million users. So that pushed the share price up dramatically. But overall, the high risk shares are a sell. Bitcoin is definitely a sell at these levels, in my opinion. At 19,000, it's going to go all the way down to 15,000 and should really be at 10,000. One of the viewers asked, what about Ethereum? I said to him it should be at $700. Don't buy unless it gets down to $700, but he wants to buy now because we've got this big FOMO, this big fear of missing out. So I just want to make sure I've covered the main points here. Is number one is the inflation is a lagging indicator. Okay, the bond market yields are just going up and up and up, and that is going to push mortgages up. Property prices are going to start falling. Mortgages are going to start rising. So you've got to really be aware what we're likely to get into in 2023. This is Mayor Walensky with Driving Markets, talking about markets while I'm driving, even when I'm stationary. For those comments, no like I'm going to get, okay? But keep an eye on Driving Markets, and we will tell you where markets are going and what is driving markets today. Have a good day. Subscribe, pass comments. More than happy to hear from you. Speak to you soon.